They don't only believe in this world. So their worldview is not only materialistic worldview, that they only view this world and that's it. That the Big Bang happened, world took place, the world came into existence, and we die and it's over, finished, that's it, that's the end of it. That's a materialistic worldview. However, Islamic worldview is a divine worldview and a unique divine worldview and a precise and perfect divine worldview compared to other divine worldviews. If you really look into the theology of these worldviews, one would realize that Islamic worldview is amazing. It's so precise in relation to not only hereafter, but even prior to this creation of the world. It talks about the nitty-gritty of it. I mean, in Christianity, if you look at it, they talk about the hereafter, but are there any details being mentioned of the hereafter? Are anything about barzakh being mentioned? Anything about before that? They still regard shaitan as angel. They don't have the concept of jinns. They regard shaitan as an angel, but the angels are pure intellect. They are pure. They cannot be satanic. I mean, angels are made out of the substance of aql. How can aql, something that is sublime, something that is pure, be satanic? Something that guides, be satanic? So they don't have this vision or this worldview, this understanding of shaitan being jinn. So it's completely different understanding. But if you look at the Islamic understanding, the Islamic worldview is so precise in relation to the before the creation of this world, after the creation of this world, and after the Day of Judgment. Everything is nicely, well organized, logically mentioned. So, Islam has a vision or have a worldview which is considered to be a divine worldview. So in this divine worldview, it also discusses issues relating to before the creation of this dunya. Before the world was created, which was in a state of ruh, which was in a state of spirit, before madda was even made. So therefore, this riwayat that I recited from the Prophet, he says that خُلِقَ نُورُ فَاطِمَةَ قَبْلَ أَن يُخْلَقَ الْأَرْضُ وَالسَّمَاءُ. The Nur of Fatima have been created before the heaven and earth. And then they asked him, is Fatima not a human being? The Prophet replied, Fatimatu Hawra'ul Insiya. She is a Hawra, a divine spiritual being, woman, but a human, in a human form. Then they questioned the Prophet again, that when she was created in the heaven, when she was created in that spiritual form, in the form of a nur, what was her food? Because for any being, regardless of a material being or spiritual being, in order for its subsistence, it requires food. Any type of being. If you pick any matter, that tiny insect, it requires substance, it requires baqa. Whether that matter be living matter or non-living matter. So even spiritual beings also requires food for subsistence. Then the Prophet replied that as she was created and she was placed near the Arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by Nur, the food for her was at-tasbih, wa-tahdis, wa-tahleel, wa-tahmid. Sallallahu Muhammad wa Muhammad. And just to discuss this, what is tasbih, what is tahdis, what is tahleel, what is tahmid itself will take all of our 40 minutes. But we are just in the place of translating the riwayat, because we really want to cover and learn more and more of the riwayat that is in relation to Hazrat. So, she's been created even before the creation of heaven and earth. In Another hadith you would find that she is the shadow of the Nur, and the children of Fatima are the shadow of the Nur that extracted or that manifested out first. And this is, in other traditions, we find that it has been mentioned as the first of creation, which is the Muhammadan light, which is the Nur of Muhammad and Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. So, this is prior to her birth. Now see, in order to understand a personality, we really need to look into the aspect of her or his parents and what they have mentioned about that personality and what great individuals have mentioned about that personality. And now this is in relation to before her creation. Now even prior to her creation, let's look at the personalities of the Prophet, who is the father, who is the man who have reached to a maqam, to a place where no man could ever imagine to go. Forget no man could ever imagine to go. Even angel, the greatest of angels, said that if I come any further, I'll burn myself. So he has reached to that point. To that extreme, that ultimate. And this maqam is not that he reached there and then finished, it's over. No, it's something that is continuous. And every second and every minute, he is achieving perfection. He's continuously achieving perfection. I mean, that is why you would find the Prophet reciting the dua saying that, "O Allah, increase in my astonishment. Rabbi zidni kal hayra, in the hayra, in my astonishment increase." Because the jalal and jamal of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is amazing and astonishing to see that, the beauties of Allah, the greatness of Allah. And Prophet prayed for that, and Prophet was given that astonishment. No wonder he used to stand up in prayer at night, where his feet used to get swollen up. So regardless, his perfection is still continuing, it never ends. So for Hazrat Fatimah Zahra, the father is like that. The one who in the state where all arwah was present, which is considered to be alam al-zar, at that place he said, he accepted the sovereignty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, the alam which is called Qalu Bala, and he accepted it. He said, "You are my Lord." He accepted that. He was the first one to accept after the creation. And in relation to Hazrat Khadija sallallahu alayha, we find that when Prophet was in Mi'raj, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, "I have a hajat. I have a hajat from you, O Prophet, that when you go down, when you return back to earth, give my salams to Khadija." I mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sending salutations and salam to Hazrat Khadija sallallahu alayha. This is the mother of Fatimah.
Muhammad wa ala Muhammad
And as we are fully aware of how he was provided with the heavenly food while he was in the heaven, while he was in Mi'raj, and after which he says that whenever I kissed Fatima, I smelled that heavenly food that was provided to me in the heaven. So when he returns back, the birth of Fatima took place after that. So therefore all these riwayat is pointing out to the greatness of her even prior to her creation. And as we know that when Hazrat Khadija was pregnant, she used to speak to Fatima. And she used to tell to the Prophet that I could speak to Fatima. And Prophet says that I would hear her as well. And Jibreel comes at that moment and gives salutations to the Prophet. and Jibreel says,